50 Cent is back on his ultimate petty grind, and this time, he's coming for the industry heavyweights. So, you know how 50 Cent has been cooking up that Bombshell Diddy documentary? Well, let's just say it's about to send major shockwaves through the entire entertainment world like never before. Word on the street is that this isn't just some regular tell-all. This thing is loaded with receipts, behind-the-scenes bombshells, and secrets certain folks are desperate to keep buried. And get this, some big names are already working overtime, pulling strings left and right, trying to shut it down before it even sees the light of day. But if they thought he was going to sit back and let that happen, then they must have forgotten who they're dealing with. He's out here dropping names, spilling tea, and making it crystal clear that he's ready for all the smoke. Stay tuned, because 50 Cent is pointing out the celebrities trying to wreck his Diddy documentary. Diddy's rise to fame, from Harlem to hip-hop royalty. But to really understand why 50 is going full throttle on Diddy, you've got to rewind and take a closer look at how both these guys clawed their way to the top. Let's dive deep into Diddy's rise to fame, because this man's story is like a Hollywood script come to life. Diddy, born in 1969, grew up in Harlem during its gritty, hustle-driven days. Harlem was where it all started for him. He's always said it's the core of his swagger and relentless grind. But life threw him a curveball when he lost his father at just 2 years old. After that devastating loss, his family made the move to Mount Vernon, a quieter suburban area just outside the Bronx. And this is where young Diddy's world expanded. New people, new experiences, new energy. It completely shifted his perspective on life. But don't get it twisted, Diddy was never the average kid. He was always a step ahead, thinking bigger than most. He attended an all-boys private school, which set him apart from his peers. And here's a fun little tidbit. As a teen, Diddy was in the mix with the stars, dancing in music videos for the iconic Diana Ross. Those dance moves we saw him rock later on in his career, that's where they came from, early training in the spotlight. The hustle begins, college parties and big dreams. Fast forward to after high school, and Diddy wasn't satisfied with just hitting the books at Howard University in DC. He was already on his hustle, organizing some of the most high-profile events the school had ever seen. We're not talking about your typical college party. Oh no, these were celebrity-studded events with Diddy playing the role of host and master of ceremonies. And here's a little sneak peek at Diddy's early branding genius. He had business cards engraved with the name Puff on them. Even back then, he was thinking about how to shape his empire. By 1989, Diddy was already making moves. He reconnected with his childhood friend, the legendary Heavy D, who was a major force in hip-hop. Heavy D introduced him to none other than Andre Harrell, the head honcho at Uptown Records. And just like that, Diddy was in. He scored an internship and quickly proved he had the chops to rise through the ranks. By the time he was 20, Diddy wasn't just an intern. He was an A&R executive, running the show behind the scenes. But like any great success story, Diddy's path wasn't all smooth sailing. The real drama kicked in when Uptown's parent company tried to shut down Biggie's debut album, Ready to Die, claiming it was too raw and gritty for the mainstream. Now, Diddy being Diddy wasn't about to let that slide. He fought tooth and nail to get that album released, and in the process, he ended up getting fired from Uptown. But honestly, that was a blessing in disguise. Instead of letting that setback define him, Diddy flipped it into the ultimate power move. In 1993, he launched Bad Boy Entertainment, and the rest is history. Diddy wasn't playing small. He signed some of the biggest names in hip-hop, including the Notorious B.I.G., Craig Mack, Lil' Kim, and the Lox. By 1994, Bad Boy was the label in the game, and Biggie's Ready to Die became an instant classic. Diddy's reign, from hip-hop mogul to Hollywood royalty. By the time the early 2000s rolled around, Diddy had fully established himself as a mogul. He was dropping chart-topping hits, stacking up his fortune, and of course, flexing with the ultimate Hollywood accessory, Jennifer Lopez on his arm. When Diddy showed up at the 2000 Grammys, he wasn't just a music mogul anymore. He was A-list celebrity material, rubbing elbows with the biggest names in Hollywood. He had officially crossed over into the mainstream, and everyone knew who he was. But while Diddy was living the high life, celebrating at glamorous parties and taking Hollywood by storm, there was a hungry, up-and-coming 50 Cent grinding away in the streets. Now, here's where things get interesting. Diddy was all about the glitz, the glamour, and the VIP lifestyle. But 50? He was still out there hustling for every opportunity, determined to make his name known no matter the cost. And you better believe he wasn't going to let Diddy sit comfortably on that throne without putting up a fight. This stark contrast between their worlds, That's where the tension started to brew. Diddy's world was full of excess, parties, and flashing lights, while 50 Cent was in the trenches, battling for his place in the game. And trust me, 50 wasn't about to let anyone forget it. 50 Cent's rise, from the streets to hip-hop stardom. Back in the late 90s, there was this guy slowly rising through the ranks in the hip-hop scene. None other than 50 Cent, straight out of Southside Jamaica, Queens. 50 wasn't some random dude you'd see hanging out on the block. Oh no, he was running the streets on the notorious 134 guy, or Brewer block, like a true boss. He had the respect and fear of the people around him. But here's the catch. While he was on top of the street game, he had bigger plans. He wasn't about to let himself get stuck in that world forever. By 1996, 50 had a vision. He wasn't content with just ruling the streets. He set his sights on something much grander, turning his street hustle into a full-blown rap empire. That's when Jam Master Jay from Run DMC stepped in. Jay saw potential in him and took him under his wing. He mentored 50, showing him the ropes of the music industry, how to write hooks, how to structure a proper song, how to deliver a hit. 50 soaked up everything like a sponge. By 1999, the groundwork was laid, and 50 was ready to take the rap world by storm. He signed a deal with Columbia Records and was all set to release his debut album, Power of the Dollar. But hold up, this is where the real drama unfolds. The controversial track that shook the industry. Feeling like the buzz around his album wasn't living up to expectations, 50 decided to stir the pot. In August 1999, he dropped a track called How to Rob, and it sent major shockwaves through the entire industry. And when I say he called out everybody, I mean everybody. This wasn't some light diss track. He went after the biggest names in the game. R&B legends Bobby Brown and Keith Sweat, yeah, they were targets. But didn't stop there. He went for DMX and, hold on to your seat, he even aimed his shots at Diddy. The opening line of the track, a bold statement about Diddy's then-girlfriend, Kim Porter, and a hypothetical ransom scenario. Just when you thought it couldn't get any wilder, 50 tossed in a jab about Diddy dancing his way to an ATM to pay for the ransom. It was bold, it was daring, and it worked. The industry couldn't stop talking about him. People had opinions left and right, the buzz was real. But as the buzz hit its peak, things took a turn for the worse. In 2000, 50 dropped Ghetto Churan, and let me tell you, that track opened up an entirely new level of drama. He didn't hold back at all. He went full throttle, spilling the tea on Queen's most notorious figures. 50 didn't just throw out vague references. He named names, detailed their alleged activities, and even threw in specifics about the luxury cars they drove. It was like a mini-expose, but some 50 Cent's resilience, surviving the streets and the industry. While some people weren't feeling 50 Cent's raw storytelling, others straight up called it snitching. And guess what? Supreme wasn't here for it. He didn't take too kindly to 50 airing out all their dirty laundry. Then, on May 24th, 2000, everything changed. 50 was ambushed right outside his grandmother's house. The man was critically injured. Yes, you heard that right. But don't think for a second that it was the end for 50. This guy is built differently. He didn't wait for an ambulance. Nah, he drove himself to the hospital like a true soldier. And believe it or not, he survived. He lived to tell the tale. Talk about resilience, right? Bulletproof energy. However, despite surviving the shooting, his career took a huge hit. Columbia Records wasn't exactly thrilled about being associated with all the drama surrounding him. So what did they do? They dropped him just like that. His album, which had so much potential, got shelved and never saw the light of day. That was a major setback, but we all know 50's story doesn't end there. He may have taken a huge blow, but the saga of 50 Cent was just getting started. The 50 Cent and Diddy drama, a rivalry for the ages. All right, let's really break this down because this tea is piping hot. By 2001, 50 was back in the studio, focused, hungry, and ready to make moves. And guess what? Diddy, surprisingly, wasn't holding on to any past drama. He had bigger things on his plate. Enter Jennifer Lopez, who apparently had this genius idea. Why not have 50 write for Diddy? Sounds wild, right? But 50 was all in. He later even claimed that he wrote the hook in Diddy's entire verse for Bad Boy's hit, Let's Get It, featuring Black Rob. And if you really listen, you can definitely hear that classic 50 Cent swagger all over the track. But here's where things get juicy. Even though he was technically working with Diddy, 50 wasn't about to become his BFF. That just wasn't his style. In 2002, just a year later, 50 took shots at Diddy again. This time on Get Out the Club, where where he called him out with a playful jab and even threw some shade about Diddy still holding a grudge over J.Lo. Messy, right? But here's the kicker. Diddy didn't even respond. Not a diss track, not a shady interview, nothing. He probably just brushed it off as 50 being 50. Now, despite all that, Diddy still saw potential in 50. According to Tony Yayo, Diddy even considered signing 50 to Bad Boy. Can you imagine? But that deal never made it past the conversation stage. And why? Well, Diddy didn't want the smoke that came with 50's Ghetto Churan track, where he spilled all kinds of street secrets. That song had some serious heat around it, and Diddy wasn't about to bring that drama to his label. Looking back, passing on 50 might have been one of Diddy's biggest missed opportunities. But let's be real, even if they had teamed up, knowing 50, things still probably would have gone sideways. That's just how he operates. The MTV VMAs, a tense moment in hip-hop history. Now, fast forward to 2003. 50 Cent is huge. Like, top of the rap game, million-dollar record deals, chart-topping hits huge. And Diddy? Still running things, still making boss moves. For a moment, it seemed like they were both just focused on their own empires. No drama, no beef, just money moves. But let's be honest, peace never lasts long in hip-hop. And the real drama popped off at the MTV VMAs on August 28th, 2003. So, picture this. Diddy's on stage presenting the award for Best Rap Video. And guess who wins? None other than 50 Cent for In Da Club. Now, you'd think this would be all love, right? Smiles, daps, congratulations? Nope. Sure, on camera, they played nice. They even had Eminem with them, and it looked like they were all just vibing. But behind the scenes, the tension was real. There was this unspoken rivalry between them, like they were two kings in the same kingdom, both trying to claim the throne. And then, later that year, things got really weird. The two of them ended up at Chris Lighty's wedding. Now, if you don't know, Chris Lighty was a major power player in the industry and close with both Diddy and 50 Cent. So, naturally, they were both in. The wedding incident, Diddy's bizarre offer. At Chris Lighty's wedding, things took a turn. According to 50 Cent, Diddy made a super bizarre offer. He straight up told 50 that he'd take him shopping, and not just, hey, let's go to mall. No, Diddy apparently said he'd pay for everything. Now, 50 Cent was thrown off. Like, what was Diddy's angle? Was this just Diddy being generous? Or was he low-key trying to flex? Let me buy you something, little bro. Either way, 50 was not feeling it. He talked about the whole thing in interviews later on, saying, I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like, you said he said something to me one time a long time ago at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what did you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something you're going to make me mess up. Now, you can just imagine 50's face at that moment. Pure confusion and irritation. Diddy, of course, played it cool like always. He brushed the whole thing off in interviews, laughing it up, saying, I thought he needed some clothes. I'm a nice guy. I don't have no beef with 50. He loves me. He loves me. I mean, y'all can't see it. Y'all can't see that he loves me. You really hold on. You really think that's hate. Classic Diddy move. Flip the script and act like he's the one being adored. So, at the end of the day, was Diddy just being friendly? Or was this some kind of power play, trying to subtly remind 50 who the real boss was? Honestly, we may never know for sure. But one thing's clear, whatever Diddy's intentions were, 50 Cent did not like it. And when 50 doesn't like something, you know he's not letting it go. 50 Cent and Diddy's growing animosity. From that moment on, 50 Cent wasn't just making casual jabs at Diddy. He was taking direct shots. And not just on the music front, either. The real drama all went down in the business world, where both men were determined to dominate. Let's take a step back and set the scene. Diddy wasn't just some rapper with a record label. He had built a full-blown empire. He was already a mogul, someone who didn't just ride the wave. He created the wave. It all started with Bad Boy Records, where he shaped the sound of an entire era, especially during the reign of the notorious B.I.G. But after Biggie's tragic passing in 1997, Diddy didn't just mourn, he expanded. First, he jumped into the rap game himself, dropping No Way Out and scoring a massive hit with I'll Be Missing You. But let's be real, Diddy's true genius wasn't just in music. He saw the industry shifting, and he knew where the real money was. The Diddy blueprint wasn't about just being a rapper. He wanted to be a business icon. And that's exactly what he did. Diddy's empire, from music to fashion and vodka. Enter Sean John, his luxury clothing brand. Not some throwaway rapper merch, but an actual fashion powerhouse that raked in hundreds of millions. Then came Ciroc, his vodka empire. But here's where Diddy did something different. Unlike a lot of other celebrities who just slap their name on a product and collect a check, Diddy wasn't playing that game. He was fully involved in branding and marketing, treating Ciroc like a luxury item, not just another drink. He even had the audacity to claim that Ciroc was the drink of kings, playfully challenging traditional vodka brands for using potatoes instead of grapes. And Diddy wasn't about to let Ciroc be just another bottle on the shelf. Nope, he strategically placed it in every high-profile event, whether it was an award show after-party, a VIP club, or one of his legendary star-studded white parties. You'd see Ciroc bottles everywhere, with celebrities holding glasses like it was the official drink of Hollywood. And let's not forget the marketing genius. Diddy turned Ciroc commercials into mini-movies, featuring some of the biggest names in entertainment. This wasn't just vodka, it was a lifestyle. Then came the real power move. Diddy's insane business deal with Diageo, the spirits company behind Ciroc. His contract gave him 50% of Ciroc's profits for 6 years. That's not just a brand partnership. That's ownership-level money. And by 2013, Ciroc wasn't just making bank, it was helping push Diddy's 50 Cent versus Diddy. The war heats up. Success like Diddy's doesn't go unchecked. Enter 50 Cent. Now, we all know 50. He's not the type to just watch somebody win without throwing some shade. Even though their beef had cooled off for a minute, 50 decided to reignite things in 2010 during a press run. And when 50 Cent goes off, he goes off. He straight up called Diddy out, claiming he allegedly exploited artists for his own gain and tossed them aside when he was done. And then, to make it extra disrespectful, he completely trashed Diddy's music, claiming that Diddy only makes music for people who just want to dance in the mirror. But Diddy? He wasn't just going to take that lying down. That same year, he announced he was forming a new supergroup called the Supreme Team. Sounds harmless, right? But hold up, that name was very specific. It just so happened to be the same name as the Notorious Gang that was allegedly connected to the hit that got 50 Cent critically injured back in 2000. Coincidence? 50 Cent didn't think so. So now, the tension wasn't just business. It was starting to feel personal. The interview that set it all off. In June 2010, 50 went for Diddy's entire reputation. He didn't just clown his music. He came for his credibility. He basically said Diddy wasn't even a real artist since he didn't write his own music. According to 50, Diddy was more of a businessman than a rapper, and if he wanted to, he could just stitch together lyrics from random songs and call himself an artist too. But that wouldn't be real hip-hop, 50 Cent declared, further insulting Diddy's artistry. Now, we all know Diddy isn't just about the business. He's got an ego too. He wasn't about to let that slide. So, that same month, during a speech at the BET Awards afterparty, he fired back. But in classic Diddy fashion, he didn't say 50's name outright. Instead, he just spoke on it, declaring that hate is for suckers and calling 50 Cent a crab. Basically, he was saying 50 was just bitter and trying to drag him down. But if Diddy thought that was the end of it, he clearly forgot who he was dealing with. 50 Cent clapped back, and this time, he wasn't just talking business. He took things to a whole new level. He started hinting that he had some very interesting photos of Diddy's girlfriend at the time, Cassie. And not just regular photos, we're talking controversial footage. Then he doubled down, claiming there was an entire video that was allegedly way worse than what had already leaked. 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, Exposing Diddy. Remember when the streets were buzzing with whispers about an explicit tape of Diddy and Cassie floating around? And guess who got his hands on some very interesting photos? Yep, none other than 50 Cent. Being the messy king he is, he actually called up Diddy like, "Yo, is Cassie really your girl?" And when Diddy confirmed it, 50 hit him with the receipts, sent him the photos right then and there. Now, you think Diddy would be furious, but nope. He actually thanked 50 for the heads up. That's when 50 had a light bulb moment. It wasn't Cassie who wanted those pictures taken. It was Diddy all along. And according to 50, this was just another example of Diddy's manipulative ways. Diddy's questionable behavior, the party scene, and relationships. Now, let's talk about Diddy and his questionable behavior when it comes to women. Over the years, there's been no shortage of accusations against him. Everything from being controlling and downright mean in relationships to fostering a toxic party scene where intimidation and exploitation were just part of the vibe. And yet, somehow, he's managed to keep his empire intact, with celebrities either staying real quiet or pretending they don't see the mess right in front of them. But let's be honest, Diddy's been dodging accountability for way too long. And guess what? 50 Cent is not about to let him get away with it anymore. Now that all this dirt is coming to light, He's going full throttle on exposing Diddy, and he's bringing the big guns. His production company, G-Unit Film and Television, has led. Netflix has reportedly gone all in, digging deep into decades of allegations surrounding Diddy. We're not just talking about a quick recap of the latest headlines. This documentary is said to be a full-scale investigation into everything, from racketeering to much darker accusations. The streaming giant allegedly outbid other networks in a heated bidding war to secure this explosive project, which was announced right after Cassie filed her lawsuit against Diddy in late 2023. The working title? Did he do it? Yeah, they really went there. Originally slated for a September 2024 release, there's still no official date locked in. But one thing's for sure, this documentary has the potential to shake up the entire industry, and the delay has only fueled speculation. Are the powers that be trying to keep it from seeing the light of day? Is Hollywood trying to shut down 50 Cent's Diddy documentary? While Netflix is working on its own take, 50 Cent is making sure his documentary isn't just about exposing secrets, it's about action. Every dime from his G-Unit Film and Television project linked to this doc is reportedly going towards supporting victims of SA and exploitation. That's right, 50 isn't just spilling tea, he's aiming to make a real impact. And according to him, this doc is turning into a monster. He even called an octopus because every day, more allegations and hidden truths are surfacing. The deeper they dig, the messier it gets. But here's the kicker. 50 claims there are some serious forces working behind the scenes trying to block this project from ever being released. So, who might be sweating bullets right now? First up, Clive Davis, the legendary music mogul who played a major role in building Bad Boy Records. Clive has been known to fiercely protect his protégés, and if Diddy's empire starts collapsing, you can bet Clive is pulling strings to limit the fallout. Could he be working the phones? Try to kill this project before it gains too much traction? Then there's Jay-Z. Now, HOV is a master at keeping his image spotless, but let's not pretend he and Diddy don't go way back. Business partners, industry allies, both calculated when it comes to protecting their legacies. If there's a chance this documentary could cause damage beyond just Diddy, could Jay be making quiet moves to discourage Netflix or other major platforms for pushing forward? Let's not forget Harve Pierre, Diddy's longtime right-hand man and a major player behind the scenes at Bad Boy. If there's anyone who has the connections to slow this documentary down, it's him. And what about Revolt TV? Diddy owns the platform, and while it's not a mainstream news network, it still has influence in the hip-hop world. He could easily use it to discredit 50 Cent's documentary, shift the narrative, or even paint himself as the real victim. But wait, there's more. Diddy isn't just a music mogul. He's got major corporate connections. His legal team is stacked with some of the most powerful attorneys in the business. We saw how quickly they handled Cassie's lawsuit, settling almost overnight before things could spiral out of control. If they could shut that down in record time, imagine the legal firepower they're using to try and block this documentary. And if they can't stop it from being released, best believe they'll be coming after anyone who dares to speak out. Then there's the corporate side of things. Diddy has sponsorship deals and partnerships with brands that do not want to be associated with controversy. Think about companies like Ciroc. If his empire starts showing cracks, these brands could step in and apply pressure to make sure this documentary never reaches the public. Quiet backroom deals, subtle media influence, or even legal threats. It's all in play. But here's the thing. 50 Cent lives for this kind of war. If you think he's backing down, think again. He's always 2 steps ahead, and he knows roadblocks are coming. But that's not stopping him. The goal here isn't just to take down Diddy. It's to finally give a voice to the people who have been silenced for far too long. And let's be clear, 50 Cent and his co-director, Alexandria Stapleton, aren't here to erase Diddy's contributions to hip-hop. They know he played a pivotal role in shaping the culture. But at the end of the day, this is about accountability. No matter how powerful the people trying to keep the truth buried may be, 50 is determined to shine a light on it. So what do y'all think? Is Diddy finally about to face real consequences, or will he find a way to slip through the cracks once again? Could this be the final chapter of his reign, or is this just another storm he'll survive?